Welcome, 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 welcome to the Tourism Australia and Virtuoso Great Destinations and Experiences of Australia webinar. My name is Quentin Long. I'm the co-founder of Australian Traveller and International Traveller magazines and websites, and it's my absolute pleasure to be your host today. And this is really a very special webinar for me. You know, in my role, a lot of people are always asking me, what's your favorite place to travel to? And my typical answer is all of them. Well, almost all of them. You know, I don't need to go back to Dallas again, but look, all of them I really pretty much love. But I often answer it with a very simple expression, which is there is one particular trip that has changed me personally the most transformative. And that was a week, I was lucky enough to spend a week with our Aboriginal brothers and sisters in Arnhem Land with the Yolngu people. And that's what makes today so special, because it is transformative. We're going to explore the great Aboriginal experiences of Australia. Now, the Aboriginal experiences of Australia is one of the 8 collectives that make up the signature experiences of Australia. These are the world-leading experience providers that are delivering customised, highly engaging, highly transformative, personal travel experiences for all people, and really are sort of the best we have in this great country of ours. After we explore the great Aboriginal experiences, I'll also be profiling 2 of our Virtuoso partners right here in Australia, one that is relatively new and quite extraordinary, and another one that you probably have heard of but haven't been updated on for a while. So make sure you stick around for that. Now, to quick bit of housekeeping, look, if you have connection problems, don't worry. You can use the link that you used to come into the webinar. Again, it's not mission impossible. It doesn't self-destruct in 10 seconds. I say that every time, but it's okay. Look, and if you continue to have connection issues, again, don't worry. Your Virtuoso Travel Advisor will be given a link to the recording of today's session, and they can share that with you. And second part of housekeeping, and probably the most important, is I'm not here for my own amusement. Don't get me wrong, I'm having so much fun doing these webinars, and today is particularly very special to me, but I'm here to help you find your next great Aussie experience. So please ask as many questions as possible, and use the box at the bottom of the screen to ask them. Now, look, I'm a guy, so I can't chew gum and walk at the same time, let alone host today's webinar and answer your questions. So the guys at the Virtuoso team will be answering them for me. And look, if we don't have time to get to your particular question, you know who you can reach out to? Your best friend, also known as your Virtuoso Travel Advisor. They're a wealth of knowledge, as you know, so they'll be able to answer questions as well if we don't get to them today. So that's enough of the housekeeping. Now to this incredibly transformative and important experiences in Australia. You know, that week I had in Arnhem Land really revealed a lot to me, and it wasn't big moments. It's often the small ones and the small things that you learn and that you participate in. So for example, I learned why Aboriginal people sit cross-legged, because if you're actually on your haunches, it looks like you're about to get up and leave, and that's rude because you're not paying attention and not giving the speaker the respect they deserve. Why do Aboriginal people not make eye contact? Because it's aggressive. And so for white culture, we see it as deferential, but for Aboriginal culture, it's aggressive and rude. So they're being polite by not making eye contact. And it's those small nuances that really start to reveal the culture to you. But it's not all big moments like that. There's lots and lots of fun. I'll never forget driving along Cape Arnhem with Jimmy from Barwaka. And he's driving the trip, he's not watching the beach in front of him, he's watching the water. Suddenly he slams on the brakes, grabs his woman, grabs his spears, runs down the beach, jumps into the water, launches his spear. And I'm like trying to get my camera and taking photos, and he missed. But a bit further up the beach, they saw turtle tracks. And suddenly everyone stops. They get very, very excited. Out come the spears. They're piercing the sand, and they find that the turtle eggs nest. And suddenly everyone's digging down. They start to slow down, and suddenly they come out and start to remove all these eggs. I've never seen Aboriginal people count before until they had that delicacy that is a turtle egg. Because now for Aboriginal people, more than 2 is a lot. And so why do we bother counting? Because we'll get to share. And they separated the turtle eggs into groups of 5 and shared them around. Now, I don't know whether I'm meant to admit this or not, but I did try one. It was raw. Not my favorite food experience, but still nonetheless pretty amazing to be part of. Look, that's just a very, very simple explanation of my personal experiences. I really think we need to get an expert in on this conversation. So we're going to be joined by the Executive Officer of Aboriginal Experiences of Australia, Nicole Mitchell. G'day, Nicole, and welcome to our webinar.
G'day, Quentin. Thank you. And thank you very much for the warm welcome. Very pleased to be here today with everyone tuning in and listening about our Aboriginal experiences. And like you, Quentin, I've had the pleasure and feel very privileged to have been up in Arnhem Land. And your stories are enlightening, and I hope I can share some stories with people as well today. Looking forward to it.
I'm sure you're going to. And I think one point I would like to make as well is that we have such a breadth of these Indigenous experiences here in Australia that it doesn't have to be just remote. You know, there is always going to be an Aboriginal experience at your fingertips, no matter where you are in the country. But hey, Nicole, I know you've prepared a presentation for us. I'm going to let you get on with that now.
Thanks, Quentin, and thank you everyone for tuning in to hear a little bit more about our Aboriginal experiences in the Discover Aboriginal Experiences Collective. And as Quentin mentioned, we're part of Signature Experiences, which is the best of the best, most immersive experiences that you can get in Australia. So let's roll into this and have a look at some of these. But first of all, I'm actually going to give a very quick history lesson here, taking you back to your schooling days and learning a little bit about our Indigenous culture in Australia. Australia is the world's oldest, or has the home to the world's oldest living culture in the world. A lot of people don't realize that, dating back over 60,000 years. And this is the beautiful Indigenous map of Australia, all the different language, tribal and nation groups. And there's over 250 recorded different languages. And what does that mean? That means great diversity. So the language that is spoken, say, in Sydney is very different to that in Darwin. And with that brings about diversity of experience. And surprisingly to hear, there is still 120 different dialects spoken throughout Australia. So I just wanted to raise that at the beginning and keep that in mind for when I share some of these experiences, that a plant use in the Kimberley region may be different than in the rainforest. And I think it's really important that, you know, as travellers of today, we really like to give something back. We want to be immersed in the country and the culture that we're in. And tourism really aids in the sustainability of our own culture here in Australia, which I think is intrinsically important for any holiday around Australia. So heading in, what is Discover Aboriginal Experiences? As Quentin mentioned, it really is our flagship suite. This is our showcasing this fantastic world's oldest living culture through the cornerstone of cultural insight, authenticity and connection. And let's delve into that a little bit more. What does that mean? Any experience in this collective is Aboriginal guided. All of the experiences have fabulous guides, like from here at Manuel at Top Ditch. What a character he is. Indigenous people are very humorous, and Quentin mentioned before about, you know, Jimmy jumping out of the truck and heading into the water. And they're so passionate about sharing their stories and people being interested in their culture. So that's the most important. As I mentioned, storytelling. So if we look at Uluru, for example, this image here, we think, wow, how amazing is that? You know, taller than Centre Point, out in the middle of the desert, but it's really getting a connection and bringing the landscape to life if you're booking one of these experiences. So for example, it's the story of two snakes fighting, and I'm not going to give it all away because I actually want you to go and join one of our experiences and hear about it. Also, it's really authentic and engaging. So the experiences are small group, personalized, tailored, with great room to change the program and change the itinerary that you're doing based on your interests on the day. So you'll sit down, you'll have a yarn, you'll learn about culture, you'll see the amazing environment that you would have seen on a regular tour. But as I mentioned before, I keep coming back, it's about bringing that landscape to life with really quality experiences and people that are excited about sharing their culture. So let's have a look. Where are these experiences? And as we talked about before, you don't have to go to remote Arnhem Land. You can be having an experience in Sydney or in Melbourne or in Perth or, you know, Brisbane or the Gold Coast. We've got over 185 different experiences delivered by these fantastic businesses. These businesses are either Aboriginal owned, or if they're not Aboriginal owned, the funds and the connection is with that community. So again, that really aids in the sustainability of the culture. Now with 185, I would love to sit here and run through all these today, but that's what your Virtuoso advisor can do with you. I'm going to give you a taste. And first of all, let's have a look at the type of experiences. Often we all know about didgeridoo and art and music within Indigenous culture, but how about jumping on the back of a kayak or actually doing your own art piece? Or who would have thought that in Port Stephens, just north of Sydney, you could jump on a quad bike and go to Aboriginal midden sites and learn about culture. We've got exclusive accommodation, we've got culinary experiences, and I can really see Indigenous flavours coming through in our top restaurants in Australia, but how better to taste it than actually out on country. Of course, we've got nature and wildlife, and let me tell you, our Aboriginal guides know where to find the wildlife, and also some immersive journeys. So I've put a selection of some experiences through today that we're going to run through to give you a bit of a taste. First of all, this is Auntie Margaret Campbell, an absolute legend of a lady and an elder. She operates a walking tour in Sydney, just 1.5 hours every day at 10:30. And it really, I live in Sydney and I've lived in Sydney all my life. After doing the tour with Auntie Margaret, I drive over the Harbour Bridge and I completely look at Sydney in a different light. I think about the whale dreaming story. I think about the colours of the sky, the plants that are still used. And most importantly, that shot is taken in Argyle Street, which I'm sure a lot of us have walked down. There is ochre painting there that is used daily in traditional Indigenous practices. Heading into Perth with a fabulous, lovely lady here called Dale, who's one of the best storytellers I've ever met. She is really into Indigenous cuisine. She has a fantastic experience at Mallinut Gallery in the Swan Valley, or if you're at Munduna State and tasting a bit of wine, why not hear a few Indigenous yarns and taste some bush foods? Now, going to the Great Barrier Reef, we all want to go to the Great Barrier Reef. What makes this trip special is from the time that you hop on the vessel, you've got your fabulous Indigenous sea rangers who are sharing their story, sharing their culture, and you're having an immersive experience the whole day. You're not waiting to get to the reef. You are trying to light fire. You are not trying to throw a boomerang because you won't be able to get it back with the boat moving fast, but you certainly would be trying to play a didgeridoo. This experience as well is, it's a smaller group, greater ratio of guides to guests on board. So I think it's a fantastic one for you. Heading still in Queensland, everyone wants to go to the Daintree, which is one of the most amazing places that I've been to. But when I went out with Juan Walker from Walkabout Cultural Adventures, I really understood about living in this land, about the family history. And it wasn't just about the beautiful green and the beautiful scenery. It's what makes that scenery alive. And we always go out mud crabbing with Juan. He catches mud crab, cooks it up with a bit of chili. You swim in water holes that no one else is swimming in when you're going to Mossman Gorge. So you're getting away from the crowds. And if you've got kids, this is a fantastic one. I think Juan's got 5 kids at latest count. In school holidays, he'll even say to you, do you want me to bring one of my kids along? And the kids interact and learn about culture at that personal level. Heading into beautiful Broome here, with Bart. Bart is like a local legend, knows everything there is to know about Broome and everybody. So he does a fantastic walking tour around Broome. This is one of my dear favorite experiences. I have been to Uluru probably over 20 times, and this is one of the best things I've ever done, which is doing your own dot painting workshop with Mariku Arts. They run at the resort, or if you've got a small family group, you can do it out on country near Uluru, and you can tell your journey and your history. It's actually conducted in Pitjantjatjara language, or the local language, with a translator. Hitting here on the back of a kayak, like I mentioned before, adventure, experience is really at the heart of all these experiences. So this is in the gorgeous Nitmiluk Gorge in the Northern Territory, where you can jump on a kayak, you can stay at the beautiful Cicada Lodge. And you could do, as well as the canoe or kayaking, you can do a sunrise boat tour, all of them intrinsically linked to the culture of the Jawoyn people of the area. This experience is done so well this year, and rightly so. This is up in Arnhem Land. It's called Bremer Island Bano Bano Beach Retreat. It is literally, you have your own island. They have 6 eco safari lodges there. You fly in from either Darwin or Cairns into Nullarbor, up in the region where Quinton was talking about before in East Arnhem Land. Turtles come up to nest. You're immersed in the Indigenous culture. They actually bring in traditional healers to Bremer Island as well, into Bano Bano with the community there. The head of the community there is a lovely lady called Luck Luck. So again, I'd put it up very high on your wish list. Heading here, for those who enjoy walking or really like getting out, and I think we all do at the moment, I think we all love getting out in our environment. This is Wukalina Walk, which is an amazing 3-night, 4-day experience in the Bay of Fires in Tasmania. So you fly into Launceston, head down to the Bay of Fires. What I love about this experience is you are immersed in the environment, and every touch point is Indigenous. The local community make the fantastic scones you have for breakfast. You've got beautiful kangaroo skin hot water bottles. This accommodation was purpose built and has won a plethora of awards. You have 2 nights in this accommodation and 1 night where you're actually staying in a restored lighthouse. So as you can see, you've got everything from adventure to walks, to short tours, to long tours, everything from a 1-hour experience to a 7-day immersion experience with over 185 experiences. Also, we've got extended touring. So if you're looking to do a 3-night, 4-day experience up in Kakadu here, there's Kakadu cultural tours, we've got Lords, we've got Venture North, all that can have tailor-made itineraries to really get you out on country and see the diversity of Australia, I think, which is what people are really understanding. So how do I include these experiences? As I mentioned before, with 120 different dialects spoken, great diversity of culture. So what you want to do if you're doing an itinerary that's Sydney, Uluru or Cairns or, over to Western Australia, is have touch points in each single location so that you can really bring that landscape to life. The best way to find out your information is obviously with your Virtuoso advisor. We have a plethora of information. We have brochures, we have suites of materials. We work very, very closely with our agents, and we know that they're the specialists in Indigenous culture, and we, with them, celebrate sharing this culture to you on your holiday adventures. So I hope I've enticed you to have a little bit of a journey around Australia and look at the culture of our country. But what I want to do is show you a fantastic highlights video of around.
Welcome to the adventure. The adventure is to show and share our culture. Every plant, every animal is our family. They are our ancestors. They live, they grow, so we can live and grow. We are all connected. To connect our mind, body, and soul to the land, we dance. share the light. We share the land. We share this journey. Join us for the adventure. Our country is waiting for you.
Nicole, that was amazing. Thank you so much. I've got to say, I have actually been with Warren Walker in up near Cairns, Port Douglas, actually Mossman Gorge. Fantastic experience. I couldn't agree with you more. Wukalina in Tasmania, we did an amazing feature on it in the magazine, and it has been absolutely astonishing, the response we have, and it's totally on my bucket list now. And Bremer Island, I didn't realise, hadn't seen the retreats up there, or the what do you call them?
Eco Safari Lodges. Eco
That's
Safari.
it.
Yes.
The Eco Safari Lodges. Hadn't seen them before. They're now absolutely on my to-do list. And I think one of the things that I'd love to also convey to people is it's so much fun. You know, in that week I spent in Arnhem Land, I've never laughed so much for a week continuously. And it's a lovely experience to be able to have that fun and learn some stuff at the same time. So thank you so much, Nicole. I really enjoyed that presentation. I'm sure everybody out there did as well.
No, great. Thank you, Quentin.
And now it's time for us to reveal our Virtuoso partners right here in Australia. And today we have an iconic outback station stay and a relatively new luxurious development on the banks of the mighty Murray River. Bullo River Station is an icon in Australia, and it has accommodation that's been overhauled in 2018 to be a luxurious, rustic, authentic outback Australian stay. But what's even more important is that more than 40,000 acres of Bullo River Station have now been put over or given over to conservation and now being managed as a conservation effort that will restore and rejuvenate our outback landscape. And it'll be great to see and participate in that fabulous effort. But there is so much to do on Bullo River. The private guides will take you on a Bullo River boat ride. They can take you to secret water holes. They will take you fishing, and they'll also be able to reveal to you some of the fabulous Indigenous rock art that is on the station. So if you've ever wanted to be part of a true working cattle station in the outback of Australia, Bullo River is well worth checking out. And our second Virtuoso partner today, relatively new, bit unknown. So I'm going to let the video do the talking and give you a bit of an overview after we have a look at the video of this great new development on the banks of the mighty Murray River.
When we talk about luxury, what are we really looking for? That first impression when you walk in is everything. Those fine details that make you smile. The fresh food and wine grown a stone's throw away. Your own totally private escape. A unique twist that makes this place yours. Never having to leave your space for anything. But most important of all, luxury is in the location. Because some things can't be built, only framed. The Frames. World-class luxury has come to the Riverland.
there you have it, the beautiful, luxurious frames on the banks of the mighty Murray River, just outside Renmark in South Australia. They're 3 fabulous retreats that are absolutely well positioned to explore that great part of Australia. Unfortunately, that's all we have time for today, but I'm sure we've given you loads of ideas and experiences that you now want to add to your list of must-do travel experiences. So maybe, why don't you just jot down an email, drop it, send it off to your Virtuoso travel advisor and say, hey, I've seen these things. I want to start putting together an itinerary, and they can start to do their magic and give you a fabulous itinerary in the next couple of weeks. And this doesn't have to be the end of our travels, though. This is the 5th in our series of 8 Tourism Australia and Virtuoso Great Destinations and Experiences of Australia webinars. So in just 30 minutes, we'll be exploring the great ultimate winery experiences of Australia. You don't have to be a wine aficionado to enjoy it. There are a wealth of different experiences, from art experiences associated with the great wine houses of Australia to going behind the scenes and, you know, beyond the cellar door into the vines. So there's a wealth of different experiences. It will be well worth checking out. So we've also got 2 more next Tuesday that you can participate in. So next Tuesday, we're doing the great cultural attractions of Australia. Think about things like the Adelaide Oval or the MCG, all the way to a private behind closed doors tour of the NGA or the NGV, even getting on stage and being part of an Opera Australia performance. They're the great cultural attractions of Australia. And after that, we'll be doing the great golf courses of Australia. Now, don't think you have to be a golfing nut with a handicap under 10. You can be a potato farmer, as they say, like me, who hacks up a course. There is always a golf course for you. That's really a lovely addition to any holiday or travel experience. Because this is the 5th in our series of 8, you've also missed 4, but don't despair. You can actually get a link to the recordings from your Virtuoso travel advisor. So the 4 that we've already done are the luxury lodges of Australia. These are the sublime places to stay. They're not just about luxurious accommodation. They're about the place, the depth and diversity of the experiences in incredible landscapes of Australia. We've also done the Australian wildlife journeys. These are the Australian safaris that you really want to be a part of. Amazing, amazing, like things like a killer whale experience just off the coast of WA. Also East Gippsland, get to see the nature in a completely different light. Also, we've done the great fishing adventures of Australia. You don't have to be a fisher. It is about the great landscapes of Australia and a new way to appreciate them, with fabulous guides who make sure you catch a fish, which I've got to say is so important. My poor son, he's got me as a fisherman guide. He's never caught a great fish, and that's definitely the way to do it for him. And finally, the 4th in our series was the Great Walks of Australia, a very immersive experience where you commune with nature out in the wilderness with a guide. A fabulous way to do it. So please drop a note to your Virtuoso travel advisor. They'll be able to hook you up with all those different webinars. But as I said, that's the end of today's webinar. It's been my absolute pleasure to be your host. My name is Quentin Long, and until I see you again, happy travels.